Welcome to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Hey, that's me. Hi, and welcome to Positive Talk. Our show features the best positive stories and people from around the globe as we endeavor to answer the universal question of why am I here and what is my purpose? Understanding that can change everything, and knowing your greatness is fundamental to living your best life. So join us right now as together we work to create the adventure of our lifetime. And welcome to the show, everybody. Would you like to live the adventure of your life? Okay, let me paint a picture for you. Okay, let's pretend that you decide at a very early age that you want to be an actor. You want to be in the arts. You want to perform in front of people. And so what do? Do you just want to do that? And then when life gets in the way, you say, no, I can't. Or I'm not good enough, or I'm too short, or I'm too tall, I'm too skinny, I'm too fat, I'm too bald. I'm all of those things at one time or another. And and so we have a great guest for you today. His name is Shaun Robert Grant. And by gum, he's a fine young man, and I've got to wear it's St. Patty's Day, you know. So I was told I had to wear this hat and stuff, and we'll see how long that lasts. And stuff, but Shaun is with us, and of course it's perfect that you're here being named Shaun on St. Patty's Day.
Yes.
Welcome to the show, young man. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Kevin. Thank you so much. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. I got to take this hat off. This is going to kill me.
Oh, does it get too hot?
No, it's too goofy even for me.
Yeah,
even for me.
A distraction.
Yes, and I've been known to be a little goofy from time to time. So let me do this. Let me read you a bit of your bio. And you've been acting and performing for 17 years when you were just a wee little lass and a lad. And you're not a lass, you're a lad. Yeah. He finds joy. First of all, we had a meeting. I do this. I have a 15-minute meeting with people, and we had the best dang time because he is such an engaging individual about who he is and what he does and all the things in life that he is accomplishing. He is, I believe, is it not true that you're also a reverend, sir?
Yes, 9 years.
You've been a reverend for 9 years, an actor for 17 years. You've created the Actors Area, which is empowering podcast for actors' journey. And it totals 129 episodes. Congratulations on not having the dreaded pod fade.
Thank you.
You know what that is, right?
Well, it doesn't sound good, but you can explain if you'd like.
Well, it's a term in the industry because there are approximately 4 million podcasts out there.
Yeah.
But there are 350,000 or so that are active, which means that they've produced one episode in the last 3 months. Now, if you're like me, I just passed 1,000 episodes. And so, but there are people that go, I could do that. I could be Joe Rogan. I could be better than Joe Rogan. And gosh, they just paid him $100 million. I can do that. I can be a podcaster. And so they begin. Yeah. And their mom's listening and maybe a cousin. And then they get a few more people. And it's like, I thought this would be easy. Yeah. It's hard. This is hard work. And so the typical podcaster will quit after 10 or 15 episodes.
Yeah.
And so congratulations on not doing that.
Thank you. I think I can attribute that to just doing it for the right reasons as it relates to me being most authentic to myself and not necessarily something that's attempting to fill a hole within me. That's something that I've learned. If I can come from an organic place, things usually work out pretty well.
They do. And because if you have I say in the opening, if you're passionate about what you do, if you have the question in your life, why am I really here? What am I here to do? And it sounds to me like somewhere about 9 or 10 years ago, you were saying that to yourself. Am I correct or close to that?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It just, I think that one of the most intriguing things I found was confusion has actually been a good thing for me. And when I've been confused, it means that I'm setting myself up for major clarity and just a breakthrough to really expand to a new level of existence. And like you said, about 10, I say 10 or 11 or so years ago, maybe that feeling just kind of comes back because, you do something for so long. And if your soul is really rooted in evolving, you find that eventually things have to evolve with it. They don't have to totally change, but they have to change in some capacity. And that's what was happening in my own life.
And I get the impression that, and at least in my experience, the experiences that we have in life act
Mhm.
as kind of like a building block,
Yes.
because one thing leads to the other, which leads to the other, which,
Yes.
as long as you are pure in heart and have the right intentions around the things that you're doing, the things they kind of build on each other. And the
Absolutely.
experiences, even though when you can have a bad experience like a
Yes.
divorce or someone passes away and
Mhm.
stuff, you can learn from it, and then you
Absolutely.
can continue to move on. Is that how you view it?
Yeah, absolutely. I believe that there are no wrong decisions because, my perspective on things is we live in a truly loving universe that can take the biggest, crap shoot of your life and make it into something truly beautiful if we're willing to just really stop for a moment and really listen to what the true essence of ourselves is saying and where it's guiding us. And I'm a firm believer in intuition and how that plays such an enormous part in really helping us to experience miracles on a daily basis and just in some of the biggest areas of our lives. It really comes down to, are you really listening to yourself? And much like you reiterated, are you being authentic when that self speaks to you?
And are you actually listening to it?
Yes. Yes.
Because if you get a premonition or
Hmm.
intuitive hit,
Yeah.
and then you say, "Oh no, that's not gonna work. I
That's just
can't do that."
mama.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
you
And
know.
I wanna bring on now, my other host. Her name is Rochelle, and together we do this show. And Rochelle, boy, are you in for an exciting time.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I lost track of time and I realized that I didn't have 7 minutes, but I was 7 minutes late. So I'm
Uh,
sorry about that. And thank you for joining me in. This is going to be super exciting.
We're already knee deep in a great conversation about how he came to be. He's a reverend. He's an actor. He's met people like Bruce Willis and Val Kilmer and Josh Hutcherson and Orlando Jones and Piper somebody. And I, it's because it's a last name that I can't pronounce. It's somebody, but
Borrego.
well, thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you. And he is an awesome guy. And we were talking about when 10 years ago or so, he reached a point where he was interested in understanding more. And Shaun, doesn't that happen to us? Oh, by the way, I have this for Rochelle, just so I have it.
Happy St. Patrick's Day, y'all. I made him wear green, and of course, it's darker than I anticipated, but it's okay.
She made me wear green, and now I look like a little leprechaun, and I do.
Just a wee bit. Just a wee bit there,
Just a
Kevin.
wee bit. Well, with a name like Shaun, we've got to we could do the bit of the Irish with that.
Yes, yes.
All right, enough of that.
But,
Um, So, but Shaun, it's like I said, it's great to have you here, and you are one of those people that not only are you an actor and you're a reverend, you also want to give back to
Yes.
other young budding actors and actresses that really would like to embark upon the adventure of a lifetime but have no earthly idea how.
Absolutely. I think it's super, super significant to be able to sort of have some perspective after you've gone through some things and pay it forward, because I think when I became an actor, and we talked about this story, how I started out with a Polaroid as a headshot in my fifth grade, my fifth grade Earth Day play as my resume. And I just kind of went for it. And, it really taught me a valuable lesson. Sometimes we get so caught up in the third dimensional physical material stuff that we just forget that what really matters is what's in the heart. And if we follow that, good things can happen even if it doesn't look like it might in that 3D world, so to speak. So, you got to follow, as we were talking about, Kevin, previously before Michelle came on, you got to follow your intuition, your inner guidance, because it will sometimes make you think you're about to look like a complete fool, as I kind of felt when I went in with a Polaroid and
I don't know what you're talking about.
When I went in with a Polaroid in a high school play as a credit, but I followed it, and it turned out to be one of the best experiences of my life, and it was the true jumping point to me being the actor and performer that I am today.
And an actor and performer you are, you just, I get to ask a lot of people, and he just finished 2 projects, by the way, and that would be 2 different movies, Prashal, that he's in. One, he is the star, or the AI person is the star, one of the 2. Yeah. And that one, yeah. and so he is an actual, dare I say it, a working actor. How rare is that?
Yeah, it's you make up your mind and you want to do something and you commit to it internally, and you just, when the hits come, you follow it, you build relationships, it's a lot easier than it sounds from the outside looking in. But it's one of those things, I think, like anything, like you said, and Kevin drops a lot of amazing nuggets of wisdom that are pretty amazing. I'm going to reiterate, when you're passionate about something, I was so passionate about acting because acting allows you to take a character and bring forth the truth of that character. You can dive in completely. I love that so much. I had to do it. There was nothing, even when I was going in different career areas of life, in the back of my mind, it's like, I still really want to be an actor. I still want to perform. I still want to just bring people's visions to life through these characters. And by not giving up and staying with it, not to sound cliche, it just continued to unfold and continue to happen. And so I'm blessed to be able to say that, I'm here almost 150 projects later, which is really, really amazing.
You're not that old to do 150 projects.
That's what I'm saying.
Well,
Did I miss something?
What's that?
Did I miss something? Too, do you remember like the moment when it hit you and it really sunk and you were like, I'm so proud of myself for following this because this is what I love to do. Like, do you remember that moment?
It was early on, and I think it really clicked when that first film, that first student film that I did, because I had NFL dreams, right? I wanted to be an NFL superstar, but my body had other ideas about that. So once that kind of like that ship sailed, I went into a job in retail, and no disrespect to retail, but it was killing me after like a couple of months. I just was such a mismatch to who I was on a soul level that I needed to find something different. And so, much like clockwork, gravitas, providence, divine, intervention, a friend of mine referred me over, and this opportunity showed up, and here I am with the Polaroid and the school play resume, and things just started to happen. But it was on that set where I was like, wow, I finally feel alive. I hadn't felt this alive since I was playing football. I think I found what it is that I want to do, and no matter what life brought, whether I was in different areas working, it was always coming back to acting, and so it's been truly, truly fantastic.
Coming back to your passion and
Yes.
and I got a quick story I want to tell about that. I need to take a
Yeah.
quick break first,
Okay.
and then I'd like to get your take on this story that I'm going to tell, because it actually had to do with me acting years ago. So we'll be right back after this. Michelle's here. It's nice to have you here, Michelle.
Hey, thanks. I'm excited. Shaun is awesome. The energy that you blow through my screen is insane. I'm glad you found your passion, and this is really just a good conversation. So I'm excited to be here.
He brings energy, and it shows up on the screen as well, and that's one of the things that is so unique about a guy like him, is that people, I think, when people see you on the screen, all 40 feet of you, that they look and they're like, I would like to get to know him. He's a cool guy. Unless you're playing a bad guy, in which you're playing a good bad guy or a bad guy good. I think you're playing a bad guy good is what you're doing. But we'll be right back. At 67 years young, I never thought I'd feel this good again. But thanks to Purium's Ultimate Transformation Lifestyle, to date, I've lost 37 pounds and gained energy, confidence, and a whole new outlook on life. This isn't a diet. Purium is a complete lifestyle change, giving me all the natural, organic, nutrition-packed superfoods that fuel my body, crush my cravings, and help me burn fat naturally without starving myself. No gimmicks, no guesswork, just a simple, proven system that works. Superfood shakes, detox support, and real results. If I can do this at 67, imagine what you can do. It's your time to feel better, look better, and live better with Purium. Let's do it now, and let's do it together. Go to www.positivetalkradio.net and click on the Transform You to get started. That's positivetalkradio.net. Transform You. And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald and Rochelle, and Shaun Robert Grant is here. Shaun, I want to tell you this quick story because I'm not sure how I'm not sure about this, but when I was in college, I did play Fiddler on the Roof, and
Mhm.
I was Lazar Wolf the Butcher, and there
Mhm.
was a scene. It was scene 4, and he had a moment with Tevye in a bar because he wanted to marry the wife and stuff. But I remember we were doing a dinner show,
Mhm.
and the curtain was closed, and I was down stage front, which is where the blocking was that I was going to start the scene from.
Mhm.
And I just remember, because I was well prepared, I knew the lines, I knew where I was going to go. I could actually even sing a little bit. And I knew all this stuff. And then when the curtain began to open and the crowd quieted down, the music came up, the lights went down, and there was something magical that happened in that moment.
Mhm.
I got lost.
Mhm.
I was no longer Kevin McDonald, the actor.
Yeah.
I was now Lazar Wolf, the butcher.
Yeah.
Did that happen to you?
Yeah. That is truly, I guess you can call it, for sports fans, being in the zone. But I think those types of moments are when you truly, truly mind, body, soul, spirit just become one, and everything else is just boom. it's everything. The only thing that matters is what you're doing in that moment. And that's an amazing feeling to have, truly.
It really was, and because then I got into the scene, and I just lost myself totally in it. It's
Yeah.
like I can only imagine. Brachel's an ice skater of note, and I can only
Very
imagine
cool.
that that's how when you were on your game, Brachel, and
Mhm.
you were just in the flow and stuff. That's how you felt, wasn't it?
No, actually the opposite. I was terrified. There was moments I forgot my entire program, and skated around in front of judges and the audience and trying to figure out what I was supposed to do. Um, and I really think that's so many things tie into that because that's how you know you found your passion. That feeling of just how you said, Sean, your mind, your body,
Mhm.
all of you, everything becomes one. That's where you know when you're sitting is doing something you love.
Yeah.
And for me, it's the mindset going into it. This is everything. So for both of you, I've experienced that same feeling where it's just like this aha moment. But
Mhm.
there was so many times in my life that the way my coach set guidelines and boundaries for me. She wouldn't let me watch the skaters ahead of me. I'm not like that. Yes, I'm competitive, but I want to see how you're doing. I want to cheer you on. I don't like just hearing everything happen behind me and seeing nothing made me freak out. And then going into it is like I'm on the ice. I haven't even looked at the ice, you know. And then when we
Mm.
were warming up, it all depended on how I did during that warm up. So really, how you set yourself up is beautiful because I realize now that I wasn't in my character
Mm.
in those moments. I was almost kind of running from it because I was afraid. Um, but I did also have those moments where after I dropped my coach and I started taking myself to the rink when I got a car and I choreographed my own performance. Um, well, I changed the one that my coach had started with me, skated to
Mhm.
the song. She didn't want me to. I put the dress on. She told me she didn't want me to skate in.
Yeah.
And I was in my character. I was me. And she secluded me from that sometimes, which she made me amazing. But there was those
Mhm.
things that were my character, not hers. Um, and I had that feeling of just like, this is what my life is about. Like everything stopped. I was fully alive in that moment,
Yeah.
and that's just a good reminder for people too, you know, don't live in somebody else's shadow. Like
Absolutely.
find who you are in your own thing. Like you said, Sean, you're out here doing all these other things. You're like, this just isn't it.
Yeah.
So I think it's good that we stay curious with ourselves because I mean, just for you, you probably still love football. You
I
know, you
do.
have your other things. Yes.
I
Me and
was,
Kevin
I was
love
actually
football on
gonna.
here.
No, sorry. It's funny you mentioned that because I was gonna just say, in everything you said about finding your own groove, because the biggest advantage we all have to impact the world is our own individuality. But whereas when I was playing football, I would meditate, other guys would listen to rock music, listen to AC/DC, and everybody got prepared in a different way, but you had to find what was true to your essence. And for me, it's about, okay, silence everything out. There's 20, 25, 30,000 people yelling and screaming. I've got to be completely centered and dialed in to what I'm doing. And it's so funny because in those moments, they kind of glamorize it on television sometimes, but in real life, it actually goes silent. You could be running a route and you're just in your own essence as it is, because it's not just body, but it's everything. And as soon as the play unfolds and it's completed, you can hear the crowd again. So it's like, I think it's the
Mm,
heightened level of focus that
yeah.
really dials you into what we call a super conscious level of attention, that just
Mhm.
flushes everything out and keeps you dialed in on you being the best that you can be in whatever it is that you're doing.
Well, the first
So
time that
perfect.
that ever occurred to me
Mhm.
was on the football field because now I was a little shorter and not and I weighed 178 pounds, so I got some college scholarship offers and stuff,
Nice.
but nothing dramatic like what you got to do. But my coach at the awards dinner at the end said, I don't know how he does this when you, because I played nose guard,
Yeah.
and he said he's practically underneath the ground, but every reverse or double reverse that the opposition ran, I stopped because I had a sixth sense. That's when I knew that my intuition was as involved in what I was doing.
Right.
And when I allowed that to happen,
Yeah.
then things flowed better. Has that been your experience?
Yeah. I mean, the number one thing that gets you killed on the football field is thinking. If you think too much,
No
you,
thinking, just do.
you will. And I've had to go through the experience of it. You think too much, you could literally get killed because it's such a split second of things happening that it has to be instinct, it has to be intuitive, or it just doesn't work as optimally as it should. And I think it's also that with acting, it's being able to just dial into that zone. It does everything for you. And the beauty is like, I talk to a lot of different actors, and they want to go in and immediately all they think about is what's going to happen on the outside, getting the awards, being in this many movies, fame, all these things. But all of that is just an extension of you being able to understand who you truly are, right? In the most sincere, genuine, authentic sense. And then just creatively expressing yourself from there. And I think that's true for acting. That's true for whatever it is that you do. If you can do that, like success, fulfillment, all these things are inevitable because of it.
Well, I have to ask you, has there been a character that's been your favorite because of how much it's taught you how to better yourself as an individual outside of that character?
I want him to play Apollo Creed. That's what I want.
Yeah.
Just give me some time to get in shape. I'll have one of those green drinks on the ad. More like 70 of them. But thank you, Kevin. I appreciate that. I to answer your question, Rochelle, there's been a number of characters um, that I just absolutely fell in love with, and I even find myself taking aspects of them into my life.
Mhm.
But most recently, I would have to say I did a film, and it's on the festival circuit right now. The movie's called I See Rose, and I was basically playing a dance instructor who was helping a young girl overcome, being trafficked and trafficked. How do you say that? Is that right? Trafficked.
Mhm.
Yep.
Something.
Traffic.
English class. References, please. But
Okay, take two.
I laugh, but it's a super super serious film. But the emotional magnetism of that film touched me so much to the point where there was a scene where I was crying and I just couldn't stop crying because it opened up something in me because I'd never been exposed to anything like that in my life, but to see it firsthand on a film, and things can become super visceral when you're in it and you're just completely. It's not Shaun anymore. It's the character, and something about that individual character really just stood out to me. And I think to date, with all that I've done, that's probably my favorite character because of the impact he created in the life of the other character who was being trafficked. So I think that would probably be my answer.
I love that. Thank you.
It is amazing to me that the versatility that you have, and like the one of the projects you just done, you were the bad guy, but like we said, you did the bad guy good, or you were good at being the bad guy, something like that, and
Yeah,
it was fun for you.
yeah, yeah. I'm glad you bring that up, Kevin, because here's the interesting thing about villains, and you guys may know this. Villains don't know that they're the bad guy. They only know that what they are doing is right. And that is so true to the makeup of human beings. Because I growing up, okay, I grew up Catholic, and it was always right or wrong. But then, you start to get into this field and you start to break down some of these characters, and you say to yourself, well, okay, that line's not black and white anymore. That's kind of gray area, right? It's like all of a sudden it changes things for you. And so you get to a point where there's this villain, and from the outside, it looks like, oh, he's a killer, right? He's a killer, and he tortures people. But why? Why is he a killer? Why does he torture people? Oh, when he was 5 years old, people continually told him what to do. He felt like he was powerless. He felt like he didn't have an opportunity to express himself fully. So all of a sudden that turns into pain. And then the pain expresses itself as him torturing and killing and things of the sort. So that's really it's made playing bad guys intriguing, because there's always some element of good turned bad because of some type of trauma that makes them how they are. But deep down, you heal the trauma and you've got a good guy. The line is just so small. It's so interesting to see.
That's a great story. Hey, Michelle, it's time for us to take a break. Would you like to take us to
Yes,
break?
I would love to. Thank you, everybody, for being here with us. Stay for the rest of the show. This is unbelievable. We have Shaun Robert Grant with us here today to continue on his stories about how he follows his purpose and his acting career, and even a little bit of football. So we're here with Kevin as well, and me, myself. So we will be right back. Stay with us.
And you yourself, what would you call you yourself?
Brushelli.
We'll be right back.
You're listening to Brushwood Media Network, the best in syndicated talk, news, and entertainment shows.
As you go about your daily life, look closer. As you gather with family and friends who love and support you, look closer. There are youth right in your community who don't have the home, warmth, and healing you have. So look closer. Every year across America, a staggering 4.2 million youth are homeless or trafficked. And for 50 years, Covenant House has worked relentlessly to keep them safe and protected. Tonight, 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed. And tomorrow, they will wake up surrounded by love. They get clean clothes, hot meals, medical care, and a safe place to sleep. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In sites across America to help them fulfill the great promise of their lives. So look closer at Covenant House. To help or get help, go to covenanthouse.org.
And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. And we've got Shaun Robert Grant. Shaun, I have to play that commercial at the bottom of the hour because there are 4 million kids in the United States of America that are going to bed hungry or trafficked. And I think that's unthinkable. And we need to fix it. And we have the ability to fix it. Do we have the will and the desire to get that done? And so I'm going to continue to play that ad nauseum because it's an important thing. And
I love it.
It's so important that we recognize, never mind. Let me scratch that. Let me go to this question, which is, you love what you do so much. I would bet that even if you needed to go get a job, you'd still be acting.
Yeah. And I the reality of that is as hard as you try, you can't get away from yourself. And I've tried a lot. I've tried a lot until I really got to a point where I could love myself and I could accept my faults and all of the mistakes that I've made, which have actually been blessings when I look at them. But you just can't get away from yourself. And the reality is why would you want to when you finally connect to what it is that just opens you up to everything you ever wanted to be. And it's not even from the aspect of fame or the aspect of accumulating a lot of things, but it's who you become while you're doing that, what you uncover about yourself while you're doing that. So absolutely, I if it would be community theater, student films, independent films, whatever it is, it's just that urge for the freedom of creative expression, I think will always be there. I mean, I could see myself performing at lunch in the break room, if I wasn't, and I would do stuff like that, like before, there were camera phones and stuff like that. I'm a bit older, but before there were camera phones and they were such a prevalent thing, I was always performing. I was always doing whatever I could to just use that love of performance to uplift people and bring a smile to their faces and just make them feel, better about themselves in that moment, not even knowing what's going on, but it was just me. And I just couldn't get away from it, no matter what.
Well, this is really your way of giving back.
Yes.
Because with the celebrity and with the recognition, and even Rochelle's been recognized 4 times for being on this show and stuff. So, but it's the recognition that you get is designed for you to help other people.
Absolutely.
Because it gives you a certain amount of credibility.
Yeah. And the platform is such a tool. It's such a resource because, a lot of times people won't. The thing is, it's so funny because I remember before I actually did anything, anytime you tell somebody I'm an actor, okay, what have you been in? What have you done?
Who do you know? Who do you know? What is he like? What is he like?
I'm like, okay, why don't I give you a monologue and move you before you start going to my IMDb and all these things and trying to see, what projects I've done. But people, what I felt that made me feel is like people didn't hear me out per se, as far as like what it meant at the time was I'm committing to this. This is showing me a part of myself that I need to move, to the next journey and to the next journey. And I'm passionate about it. But that kind of, in a way, because people didn't see that, it drove me to want to be as successful as I could, but it was always in the back of my mind about using that to give back, which is why the podcast was born, the articles, the writing for Backstage, and all these other things that come up from me documenting my experiences.
So what decided you to become a podcaster?
Honestly, I had so much within, and there were so many things I was passionate about that I wanted to share. And the one thing I'm super passionate about is just helping people to think better, raising people's awareness around who they are, right? Basically self-awareness. And that passion was just burning like an inferno. And I was just like, you know what? It might not be perfect to begin with, but I'm doing it because 1, something in me is calling me to do it. And 2, I know that I can benefit whoever it is that listens to it. And it's magical every time, no matter what. It's like, just something there that connects to me and then, allows me to connect to others. And it just feels really good.
Rochelle said the nicest thing to me the other day, because she's been working with me for a year or so, and it wasn't always real comfortable for her. But she said just the other day, Rochelle, didn't you say, I see now why you do 8 shows a week? This is great.
Yeah.
No, it is. It is. It's when whatever you surround yourself with is who you become, I was around rotting fruits my whole life. And I found that one piece of me that was still fresh and I ran with her. And now coming into this, I mean, when I first started doing this with Kevin, it made me freak out. I have to hear my voice. I have to show my face. I'm thinking about all these people that are going to hear me and know of me. And the other day it hit me. I was like, but I am me. And I can be proud of that because I love who that is now, which I never thought I would say, like
Yeah.
up until a year ago and all the years before. So to get to look back and reflect, like I bet you have moments like that where you just look back and you're like, oh my gosh, I did it. Like I love this life.
Yeah. It's getting through the muck of life
Hmm.
and really just trudging through that, and then stopping and taking a look back and saying, I don't know how I got through that, but I'm super proud of myself for doing it. And it makes me love myself, not in a super selfish way,
Yes.
but in a way that benefits you, because the expression from that then benefits other people. You become more compassionate. You become,
Yeah.
more involved in really like getting to the deeper things of life, and helping others through that. And so that's terrific that you're able to get to that place, because that's hard, right? It's really
Yeah.
hard, especially if we've grown up in a way where
Yeah.
there was so much about myself I hated, so much about myself I didn't like,
Mhm.
and it makes me emotional a bit, because it's like, wow, okay, I I've always had these virtues, yet I overlook them because of, crooked teeth, nappy hair, or not big enough muscles, or just really silly, trivial stuff. But then
Yeah.
you just you find that love through those experiences, and it's infectious. It really is infectious when you begin to truly love yourself, and you can help people do the same for themselves.
Yeah. And thank you for mentioning that it is hard because I think the hardest part that I realized is loving me now is easier than looking back at my old self and trying to love her too.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Um, and I think it's very necessary because my old self is still with me, and now I've got my new self, and I might have another new self. You never know. I know I say all these things like I'm 50 years old, but I kind of feel like it.
You're always
So
evolving. You're always
yes, always
evolving.
evolving.
Yeah.
And I have to say I'm pretty interested in acting. Everyone always told me to do it, and now I'm like, maybe that could be another goal. So
There you go.
I'm glad you found that because honestly, I can't wait to watch some of your films and your podcast we were talking about to
Mhm.
kind of go back. What is that called if somebody wants to go there and get some
Okay.
encouragement?
So I actually got a few of them. I went a bit nuts
Okay.
with it. So
Oh,
Nice.
stop.
I have the actors podcast is called The Actors Area, and as Kevin mentioned, it's documenting my experience, but also giving those bits of wisdom that I experienced throughout my 17 years. And it gets really, really into the personal side of things. And it really gives you the spiritual side of, or why it's important to have the spiritual side when you go into an acting career, because, and I mentioned this in a few of the episodes, if 10.5 million people, however many it is, whatever state you're in, like are doing the exact same thing, right? How do you separate yourself? It's
Yes.
not by doing the same thing they're doing. It's set up once again for your individuality to show you something different, for you to take a different route. And that in itself allows you to stand out without needing to be, you know, busting through, the whole just crowd of everything. You stand out because you're being authentic to yourself. And so it just really dives in a lot of that. I tried to make sure that I've gotten on topics that people don't really discuss in that industry. And so yeah, it's a fun listen for sure.
Awesome.
What do you tell people who want to be actors and stuff, and they go
Mhm.
to an audition, and the producer or the director or whoever's there
Mhm.
says, I think you need to go back to school and learn something because you're not going to be an actor. And what gives you the what do you tell somebody that happens to? Because I'm sure it happens
Yeah.
quite a little bit. how do you tell them to be resilient and to continue to love themselves and to believe in their craft,
Mhm.
to say, you know what, I may not be right for this part, but you're wrong. I'm a great actor. How do you build that credibility with yourself, really?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question, Kevin. That's a really wonderful question. The first thing is, and this takes some time, you can't personalize it. If you personalize what someone says, it's going to wound you emotionally to the point where it could really throw you off track. And I say that off of experience because it has, right? So, people will say something that hits home, like you're not as skilled or you're not this and that. But the reality is much like you said, you may not be right for this role, but I can guarantee you there's 10 other roles that you're perfect for. Like I got my first role with absolutely no training whatsoever, but the fact that I was a buff, deep voice, intimidating individual, I could play a cop in that movie. And the thing is it's just getting rid of the limitations. Every no that you experience is really kind of showing you, okay, let me not take this personal, but it's going to make me get better at this craft. So when I go back in, it'll never be a case of me not having the talent. It'll always be me just not being a fit. And I've had that experience where they say stuff like, "Oh, you're too young," or maybe you're too old to play, a mid-20 something person or something like that. But when I begin to not personalize it, and I say, okay, it's only about the work. It's only about the work. Yes, I'm going to get emotional about it, but feel that out, process it, get past it. Remember, they're only looking for a vision of this character. And if you don't fit it, trust that there's so many other gigs out there that you're a fit for. And it's going to happen. It's inevitable that it will happen as long as you don't give up. If you don't give up, like your opportunities will come for sure.
You just said the magic word to life.
Yep.
We can't give up.
No.
Yep.
The only way you lose in this life is to quit. I think Michelle's got that on her mirror.
Yes,
Nice.
that's actually been one of my favorite things. I have to say, Sean, I know we need to take a quick break, but I loved how you put it into a perspective of they're not looking at you. They're
Mhm.
looking at the character and how you
Yeah.
fit that. And I
Mhm.
think a lot of times we kind of do that with each other and ourselves in this
Yeah.
life, where it's like, if you stand in who you are, then what is to come and what is to happen will
Yeah.
be what it is supposed to. But if you're
Mhm.
trying to become a different character, or you're worried about how other people are seeing you that isn't for who you are, really you're kind of altering and wasting your own sense of time. And constructive constructive criticism is really something that is extremely hard to learn, and I don't think it's very common at all anymore these
Yeah.
days because we are so sensitive.
Mhm.
But it is huge growth, so really it's
Yeah.
breaking past yourself.
Absolutely. And I'll just add this on before we go. Welcoming adversity will always allow you to refine yourself in every capacity.
That is
Always
so good.
welcome adversity, as hard as it may be. It will help you to refine who you are that is true and aligned with yourself for sure, no doubt.
We're gonna make that a t-shirt. Always welcome adversity.
She's got a whole bunch of them that we're
I
going to make
love it.
into t-shirts and stuff. By the way, Shaun Robert
Yes.
Grant is with us, and we need to take a quick break, and we will be right back. He's an actor. He is a podcaster. When's the book coming out, by the way?
So I actually have a few of them out right now. We're in the process of working on one, but all of them are available at Amazon.
Well, we're going to talk about them when we come back, so stay
Okay.
with us.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew. A girl so smart, so responsible. She must be a keeper.
And Welcome back to Positive Talk with little old me, Kevin, and Rochelle is here. And I got to tell you, Rochelle, you have grown so much in the year, then you're going to grow so. It's not fair, Shaun, is it?
Thank you, Kevin.
It's just not fair. But I wanted to ask you, because I think this is an important point, is that when you are thinking about being an actor and you show some signs of success. I was cast in some shows, and I played the lead in Shakespeare, for heaven's sakes, and stuff. But you have everybody around you that says, "Oh, Kevin, you really need to go earn a living, and you're never going to earn a living being an actor, and you're just going to be wasting your time." And of course, I did that. I went and quit acting and went and got a job and got into management and all that stuff. But I wasn't happy doing that. What I really wanted to be was a performer. So now I'm a half-assed podcaster and a performer, but I really wanted to do some acting and stuff. But how did you, I know, because it happens in everybody's life, that somebody close to you said, "Oh, Shaun.
Yeah. And let me just say, it's one of the most painful experiences. But on the back half of that coin, you got to remember not to be too spiritual here, but God gave you the dream, not anybody else. And it would be impossible for me to feel what it's like to be in Kevin McDonald's shoes when Kevin McDonald is acting. Now, I can have an idea because I've done it, but I could never feel what you feel. So I think for loved ones listening, support that, right? Support that, because, if it's your kids, if it's a spouse, if it's a sibling, if they're lighting up when they do this, it's not just about money initially. Like, that's usually like the last thing that comes. Let the passion blossom, and the money, you'll be like changing your tune so quickly because you're like, wow, this really turned into something. Yeah, because I followed my soul. I did exactly what I felt like was brought to this earth to do, and I followed that. And what I would say as advice, sometimes it takes yourself distancing from those people, because in an industry where it's so unconventional, you really need to be centered on believing in yourself and believing that it's possible. And anybody that does not, that isn't, coherent to that, you got to kind of keep them back a bit, because mindset is everything. And how you think and how you feel about yourself will always determine what type of success you have or otherwise.
Shaun, I'm so glad that you said that. And if you are a parent out there of a preteen kid or somebody that is showing that they want to stand out and they want to stand up and they want to, encourage it. Take them into drama class. Take them to improvisational drama. Teach them the skills. Give them the hope and the understanding that they can do anything that they want to. I get so tired of people saying, "Well, I didn't want him to get hurt, so I told him that he can't do it because I don't want him to get hurt." Bull crap. Give people the joy.
How's he gonna learn?
You're so right, Kevin. And that I lived that, right? Like, I had so many people tell me about getting injured playing football that I broke my collarbone at 14. I tore up every single ligament in my right knee when I was 17. I found myself being hesitant as opposed to going full speed on the football field. And it was all because of the seeds, the thought seeds that were planted in my head that were just playing over and over. So it's like, you're completely right. You have to be, if you can't give positive encouragement and empowerment to your kids or anybody else, you just got to step back and let it unfold and let it happen as it should. Because that is the most optimal way things can play out. If you can't be positive, just shut up and let it happen, right? You don't know where the path is going to lead.
Yeah, you said something so important that detailed it caught
Mhm.
me is when you said that those seeds is what you believed. What was
Mhm.
going through your head, you were manifesting, you were creating it because it was all you were thinking about. And
Absolutely.
going into the flip side of it, you got to see why that didn't benefit you. So, yeah, everything inside here,
Yeah.
people pay attention to
Yep.
how you talk to yourself.
Mhm.
What you think
Absolutely.
is becomes reality. So,
Mhm.
thank you so much for being here, Shaun. This has been so exciting. And please come back. I cannot wait to talk about more of your show and the other podcasts and more experiences that you get to have. So it's been enjoyable.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Of
It's
course.
not very many people. If you're listening to this and you're going, "Oh, he's just an actor," there are not very many people that can claim 150 projects as credit, and there are very few. And that's because of your resilience, your desire to keep going, and your ability to not quit and not to have other people influence and get into your head and direct your thoughts in a negative way. So congratulations. Are you as proud of you as I and Brachelle are of you?
I am. It
Good.
took me a while to get there because I was feeling some core wounds and some soul wounds there. But once I fill those up and heal that trauma, like I can really, if I died today, I could really be proud of what has transpired on that journey as well as every other area of life. So I'm very happy.
Well, and you're not
Wonderful.
allowed to do that because this world would be a lesser place without you.
Oh, thanks, Kevin. I appreciate that very much.
And we've just got a minute and a half left. I want to turn it over to you, sir, Mr. Podcaster and Mr. Actor. Tell us anything that you would like us to know.
Okay. I think, you got me on the spot here. All these
Exactly.
thoughts came rushing in. Okay. What I want everyone to know more so than anything else is your dreams are valid. Your dreams are real. Your dreams are yours. And never stop embodying them. Never stop embracing the gifts that they give you. Never stop embracing the adversity that they offer because that's going to help you to grow. And it's not about you accomplishing them as much as it is about who you become on the journey, on the road to accomplishing them. And if you can just kind of stay true to that, you'll experience so much joy, so much more than you could have ever begin to imagine. Because ultimately, life is not about where we get to, but it's about who we become along the way, who we meet, who we love, who we exchange our gifts with. And that's where the true magic lies. And so that, in a nutshell, is just hopefully encouragement to just stay true to you and just go for what you want.
Mm,
Rochelle?
that was absolutely beautiful. I'm going to do nothing but agree to that. And I will promise to also do the same because sometimes shit is hard and you gotta put your head down and you gotta push forward and give yourself the patience and the discipline to do so. So, thank you so much for being here, Shaun. This has been incredible. And to anybody who's going to hear this, that's listening to our show or that listens to your podcast, you impact them in ways that you could never possibly know. So, thank you for being here and doing what you do.
Thank you so much. Very kind of you. I appreciate you
Of course.
and your kind words.
And remember, it is not that it's difficult. Turn it into a grand adventure. If you can turn your life into a grand adventure rather than a piece of crap that's hard, you'll have a whole lot more fun. You may not be more successful, but you'll be more fun, have more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shaun, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Thank you for sharing your gift with me and allowing me to just come here and have a blast with you. I greatly appreciate it. And you as well.
Of course. Thank you, Shaun.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Our purpose is to provide everyone with a positive, entertaining, and educational experience. I would love your feedback and comments about the show, including possible topics and great guest suggestions. Please email me at kevin@kmmedia.pro. And remember, be kind to one another because each other's all we've got. That's Kevin at KM Media.